From the studios of the Optimism Institute, welcome to Blue Sky, where we share stories and insights to remind us that there is always blue sky above. Sometimes you just have to get your head above the clouds to see it. I'm your host, Bill Burke. We all know that helping young people develop and maintain good mental health in today's world is an important challenge. Growing up has never been easy, and today's youth face new types of roadblocks that their parents never did. My guests today have made it their mission to help young people get ahead of these obstacles, developing what they call mental fitness, so they're better able to address life's inevitable difficulties. Charlene Engstrom and Johan Fallby are co-founders of Playwell Minds, which produces an app to provide what they describe as proactive mental fitness training for teens. As you'll soon hear, these two come from very different backgrounds, but have come together, united in their optimistic belief that they can help young people develop a positive mindset, confidence, and coping skills. While Playwell Minds is relatively new, they are already achieving remarkable reviews from users. And when you listen to these two, you'll understand why. I hope you enjoy this blue sky conversation with Charlene Engstrom and Johan Fallby as much as I did. Charlene Engstrom and Johan Fallby, welcome to the Blue Sky Podcast.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you both on. I've enjoyed learning more about your work at Playwell, and I would like to start with your backgrounds and how you came to this, because they're very different from my research. Charlene, more from sort of traditional business background. You're both based in Sweden, but Charlene's from New York. So Charlene, why don't you give us a quick sort of run through your past and how you wound up doing this work?
Yeah. I won't give you my whole resume, my whole story. I am from New York, born and raised in New York. But the story my family tells is I was unable to find a suitable partner, so I had to keep expanding my reach. And when I got to the North Pole, I found success. But I ended up marrying a Swedish husband and building a family here. But I worked many years in corporate world, kind of in innovation, design, consulting, and things like that. And about 2 years ago, I started questioning, what am I doing? What's the purpose of everything that I have? I have 3 kids. I've been interested and involved in their lives and their development, very different. They're all athletes. They're all studied different things, had different strengths and weaknesses, and rising awareness of all the challenges of youth today and things that we see out there. And I really felt like I wanted to do something else with my life. Talking to a friend, he introduced me to Henrik Kronebeck, who's actually the founder of Playwell Minds. Started with this idea. He also a dad. He was an athlete. Fast forward that he became the coach of his twin girls, who I think were 12 at the time. And he really saw that they needed some mental fitness training. And he looked for something that he could use. He couldn't find it on the market. So being the entrepreneur that he is, and having good friends like Johan Fallby that he knew of in Sweden, he really created this platform. And then I joined very early on and helped to pilot this throughout 2024 and really learn about it. And now we've kind of gone all in as of this year. So super exciting, the most rewarding work.
I bet. And Johan, your background is more from sports and sports psychology.
Yeah, that's right. I'm born and raised in Stockholm, Sweden, but I've been traveling the world as a professional table tennis player for some years until, like many athletes, become injured. So I had to stop my career, and I've always been interested in talent development and elite performance. So I started to study sports psychology and ended up also studying cognitive behavioral therapy. So I've been lucky enough to work with the elite athletes and organizations, and also youth and sport parents for almost 25 years, more or less. So that's exciting, and still be within sports, but not playing myself. That's been comforting after too early stop of my own career, I think. And I've always also been interested in teens and also health and well-being, psychological well-being. So I met Henrik through paddle tennis. That's what I can do these days: running, going to the gym, and play some paddle tennis. And so I met him through some mutual friends, and then he explained and talked about this idea he had, and I found it very interesting because it's been always a puzzle to find and get teens interested in psychology and in how they are feeling and why they're feeling the way they do. And also many teens are quite alone in their thoughts and feelings, and parents also sometimes have trouble to understand their teens, and sometimes the teens don't want to talk to the parents as well. So that's kind of the way I got into this, and he had some great ideas, and I also found that I find it very interesting that Charlene is with us as well, because we come from different backgrounds and different experiences, and I think we are a great team amongst we have a few others with us in the team as well. So that's a little bit about my background.
It was great, and anybody on this listening to this episode, myself included, who has raised anyone who's at the time teenagers, mine are much older now, can relate to everything you just described. So can you tell us, what is Playwell Minds? What are your products, and what are they designed to do?
Yeah, I can start. Johan, you build on me. So Playwell Minds, we're focused on teen mental fitness. So, in a world where we know that there's a lot of issues, anxiety, depression, and things. And there's a lot of focus on reactive methods to helping kids that already have problems, which is needed completely. But our view is also that we're not going to change that situation until we start working with kids before they have problems. So how can we help reduce the amount of kids that end up with problems? So we're focused, we call it's a category that we're building of teen mental fitness. And it's really working. It's both a program, so kind of a 7-step methodology that Johan could talk a lot about what it is that they're learning within there. 7-step methodology. We go through schools and through sports clubs, and we're either training the kids ourselves directly or training the coaches or the teachers, and they're taking it forward to their students. And then there's an app where kids are actually learning by doing. So they're actually practicing the tools that we're teaching them and giving them through the app, with repetition over time, building daily positive habits, and actually working through some of the thoughts and the things that are happening in their life. So they're learning in real situations that are happening in their life, not just through theory and listening to someone else.
And you mentioned schools and sports teams. So this is not a sports-specific program per se. You might reach the students, the young people, through a sports club, but it's not all about sports.
No, I think it comes. So Johan could talk about the background. I mean, it's cognitive behavioral therapy, it's sports psychology, it's positive psychology. I think it has a very natural place in sports, and we have kind of the early adopters and the people that are jumping on in sports, because I think it's come to the surface a lot more, the mental side of the game. But I think there are lots of kids who don't play sports that can benefit from this as well. It's performance. It's about managing every day. It doesn't have to be that you want to be a superstar. It's how to handle the daily ups and downs of life, be it a test or a theater, drama production, getting on stage.
Johan, what would you like to add to that?
Oh, lots of things. I get so many ideas every time I talk with Charlene and then the colleagues. But what I think is psychology is have some kind of rumor that it's about ill-being or depression and anxiety and all of these things. And working with elite athletes, you have another perspective on this as well. And that perspective we want to give to the kids, the teens today. And that is, I'm good at something and I want to be extremely good at this. So therefore, I try to prepare myself and try to become more aware of why I'm reacting in the way I do and how I can change my perspective on that. It's called psychological flexibility. So I can view things in different perspectives just to learn about myself and then become more effective in performance. And to me, also with elite athletes, it always starts with well-being. It's not talking about depression and those the ill-being. So it always starts with the first question with an elite athlete or a coach I work with is, okay, so how's your environment? How do you feel? And I mean, how do you look at yourself as a human being in the environment you are? And how's your well-being? And from there you can build. And this is what we want to give to the kids as well, so that they can learn about themselves and then have these skills for the rest of their life. So that's one part of it. And the other part is, as Charlene also mentioned, we work with sports psychology. And that is, look at your strengths and become even better. And then we have positive psychology that we use to, changing perspective on psychology. It's about actually knowing yourself, and you have some good strengths and things you can work on. And psychology is actually exciting to get to learn about yourself and how you, in relation to other people, act and react. And then you also have the CBT that is very practical here and now. It's about acceptance. It's about exposure. Meet those situations where you feel uncomfortable and practice in those situations. And that's actually what the elite athletes do. If you're afraid of competing, or if you become very full of anxiety when you have that, the last ball of the game, you have to win that ball. Yeah, well, if you're afraid of that, you have to train it and come into that situation as many times as possible. And this is what we want to give to the teens, to be curious and feel excitement about being curious about themselves and the relations they have around them.
With Charlene's background in business and Johan's in sports and coaching, they come together well to create a business that helps young people develop their mental fitness. Listening to them, it's clear that their product offering makes a ton of sense. Rather than treat the symptoms of poor mental health after they present, Playwell Minds takes a more proactive and preventive approach, helping young people develop their mental fitness in preparation for the inevitable challenges of the teenage years. Now, back to our conversation. I would think you're doing coaches, and I'm thinking classroom teachers a big favor too, because there's often this, you only have these students for a short period of time, and so much of what is going on in the classroom they're bringing in from outside. And it's interesting because I was an athlete and I'm a sports fan, and seeing in this country, in the United States at least, where increasingly sports organizations are seeing the athletes as full human beings. So, for example, in a sport I follow, baseball, 15 years ago, it would have been unheard of for a player to take a game off because his wife was having a baby. And now it's expected, and these managers, these rough and tumble managers, like, you really should be there for the birth of your child. That just didn't used to happen. And I think for parents and teachers to understand all that goes into being a teenager and what they're bringing into the classroom, I imagine you're doing them a huge service. So how do you reach, and I know you're beginning and growing this model, but how do you reach students? Or do you work directly with schools and then the schools bless the project and then it becomes mandatory, or is it always elective? How do you roll this out and get the app into students' hands?
Yeah, so far, we are doing it through the schools, and then the schools are determining, or the sports clubs, and they're determining which teams and which students and things are participating in it. And then, we go from there. And the thing is that our hope and our ambition is that the kids continue beyond the program itself. So the program is kind of 7 lessons on the first round, and then, you do it with repetition and you have other levels. But even when it's not a time of the lessons, they can be practicing and doing the work, on the app and developing themselves throughout.
What is the age range of people that you're reaching? How young to how old do you go?
We talk about teenagers, so 13 to 19. I think in some cases, we've worked with tennis academy, for example, where they have a little bit of younger, but very ambitious and very driven kids. So you can go a little bit younger. But I think generally speaking, it's the teen years.
And you mentioned an app a few times. So is this phone based, A, and B, if it is, how do you all think about use of phones, screens, social media, phones in schools, all that long list of issues that are becoming so high profile around the world?
It is phone-based, and it's really interesting. I think the development today is very interesting. I think it was Australia the other day that banned social media for under 15, and I know also that they did it in Denmark, our neighboring country here, just a few weeks ago, and I think there are more countries coming in that direction, and I think that's actually good. If you look at the research is always a few years behind, and the development is so fast at the moment. But I think there are different sides of this. I think what I can see in the research right now is that those people that are vulnerable, they can actually get in a worse shape than those that already have a system around them or a network around them, or if they are have some kind of well-being already. So I think it's good that they are banning it, but on the other hand, I think it's good we have this. We have our phones, our smartphones now, and there are good things that you can do in those phones at the same time. So I think as long as you use them in a proper way and in a fruitful way, then I think it's okay to do it. But we have full respect of schools that are banning them, for example, during daytime and so on. So that's fine, I think. But at the same time, we can also use this fantastic instrument in a fruitful way. So it's a balance going there, but at the same time we get very interesting results from the teens working with it. And I mean, in social media, you're exposed. If you post something, it's going to be there forever, and you can also post things quite easy about other people without, sitting behind a phone and just writing stuff. It's not the same thing as saying it directly to the person. So, but in this app and in the program, you will get your own space. You will write your own things, and it's just for you. So what we get, the reactions from the kids is that, okay, I actually find this like rebooting myself. I can get in, I can spend a few minutes because we are not asking them to be on the phone in this program for hours. It's just a few minutes, reflect on something, do some exercise, and then just leave it there. And it's for you it's your space, and you can be whoever you want. You can write whatever you want in there. And you can also tell anybody what you're writing if you need to and if you feel you want to. So it's a different way of working with the phone. And we are following the research closely to see if we can support that in some way or change their screen time behavior using this app as well. So it's a very good question, I think.
I think I will also add just a little, from the US, we always had the just say no to drugs, just say no to sex, those campaigns that came. And I think the phone's not going anywhere. So I agree it doesn't belong in school and stuff all day long. And social media has caused a lot of stress and anxiety, but it's not the only thing that's causing stress and anxiety by far. And I think, there are, the kids are using it because it gives them things, the dopamine, and it's giving them the rewards, and it's giving them fun, and it's helping them to relax. So if we can give them some of those benefits that they're getting in less positive places through something that's actually good for them, I think it's kind of a bit of a win-win.
Yeah. No, and
if you
and
will.
and practically speaking, you've got this installed base. They've all got phones. So you
Yeah.
didn't have to work on the
Yeah.
distribution there.
Yeah.
It's there.
And I think to Johan's point about the self-reflection, we hear that back from the kids too. Like, our days are so busy. We're just going from thing to thing to thing to thing. It's actually a time where I sit and like reflect for 5 minutes on myself and put down my thoughts, and it's like a place for me to process. And it's fun to look back at what I've said and how, so it's really built into that reflection and downtime too.
Playwell Minds works with young people at a critical time in their mental development, the teenage years. It's also a time, as they describe, and to which many parents can relate, kids have trouble understanding and speaking to their parents, and vice versa. And while Charlene and Johan support the idea of limiting the screen time of school-aged children, they also believe that smartphones can achieve very positive results through apps like Playwell's. And for their company, by making an app for phones, the hard work of platform distribution is already taken care of, and they can meet their target audience where they are. Let's hear some more now from Charlene and Johan. Let's talk about some of the principles that you all espouse. And one of the reasons I was attracted to this is I read about you teach realistic optimism to young people. Help us understand how you see what is realistic optimism.
I think it's all based on CBT and the positive psychology and sports psychology, as I said. But what's interesting is if you know yourself, if you get self-aware in a structured and in a way where you can reflect together with others and with yourself, then you will also get some you will get like a vision of your life in a proper way. It's not too high or too low. It's going to be realistic. And then you can also enjoy the moment. And we are also teaching them to, celebrate when you reach some small things in life and be aware of where you are at the moment right now, enjoying the moment. And but we are not looking away from those long-term visions anyway. So you have to have your dreams. You have to have your goals in life, but be here and now, enjoy the moment. If we are talking CBT, it's about acceptance, and it's about mindfulness as well, being here and now. And if you work with that in different ways, and if you start to talk with people around you, grown-ups and friends, then you will have that realistic optimism in your life every day, every moment. So I think that's really important. And what we're doing through the program is actually going through a CBT program. So we are not talking about theory and things like that, because that's going to bore them. But it's there all the time. We are talking about behaviors. We are talking about thoughts. We are talking about everything that is within CBT. And they will recognize that also later in life if they encounter a problem or interest in getting deeper into therapy in some way, or in psychology in general in some way. So I think it's building a foundation and knowledge about themselves and about psychology, and also spreading the word with the adult network around them, teachers, coaches, parents, so they have a common language. And that will give them the realistic view in many different ways.
Yeah, and I think too, going back to sports where a lot of this conversation has been, understanding that setbacks are going to happen. You're not going to win every game. You're not going to win every point. You're not going to score every goal. And I think I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, but it seems to me that young people, one of the things that social media has done that isn't so great, people put their very best selves out there. So if you're online and you're on social media, all you see are the great things that are happening to everybody else. And for young people, no one's putting out there that they just got rejected from a college or they just got an F on their paper. It's the opposite. And so then you start to doubt yourself. There's something wrong with me because I didn't get an A on this paper and that person did, or I got rejected from that college and this person got in. Is that part of what you're trying to do to show these young people that it's going to be a bouncy ride and they've got to learn to live with that and continue their optimism, but know that it's never going to be perfect?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. When athletes come to me, or people from working life that I work with as well, and they really want to achieve something, and they tell me, I'm so nervous, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or handle it. The first question I almost always ask is almost like, okay, do you think that the anxiety will disappear if you're going to stay in the business or in sports? It's not, because the day the anxiety disappears, it has no meaning to you anymore. The thing you're trying to reach. So putting things in perspective, definitely. And we are working preventive. That's really important. We are not handling clinical issues with this app, or then you have to go to a professional clinician or something. But we are working preventive, and that is talking about failures and mistakes, and also about success, and also having time to celebrate when you succeed, because you forget that sometimes. You get the A on the paper, and then you walk, next task, and then you're just walking right through. But you have to sit down and also celebrate and enjoy the moment at the same time as, okay, I failed this time. Can I do anything about it? Or was it just bad luck? Or can I do something different next time? And what could that be in that case? So it's exactly what we are trying to achieve. Life is up and down.
And I think within the goals that we talk about, right, it's like the kids go automatically to the result goal. But okay, let's work again with performance and the process and the behavioral goals. And if you stay focused more on performance and development, there are a lot of wins along the way. I think one of the rewarding things that we heard from one girl in one of the sessions afterwards, she sent a note saying, I get it. It's not about the thing I want to achieve. It's all the things I'm achieving, getting to the thing I want to achieve. No one ever told me that before.
Really nice.
Like, okay, yes,
very
she
good.
got it.
So
Yeah.
one thing we haven't really focused on that I'd like to a little bit is, what's the role of parents in all this? And I mentioned before, being an athlete, I also coached my kids when they were younger. And anyone who's coached kids in sports, at least in this country, can say that a big part of the job is managing the parents. How do you hope parents will be involved in this, not be involved in this? You mentioned this being sort of a private space for the kids. What's the role of parents in your work?
You want to go on that?
I can, but you might have more intelligent things to say, Johan.
No, I'm not sure about that, actually. No, but I think it's really important to involve the parents. And we are trying to do that as well. So when you enter a program, then we always start to meet the parents first, and they will also get information what we are doing after each session. And we are also trying to coach them or help them to not be, like you said, all over, like trying to control and asking questions and, being too much for the kids. So we are trying to help them to, okay, you can ask questions about this, and let them come to you and ask and tell them what we are doing in the program, but be there and be curious about it. And so we're trying to involve the parents in a positive way. And hopefully we can also help them to have another tool as a parent to talk to their kids if they find that they lack it. So I think it's really important with the parents. And if you also look at the research, if you want to do a behavioral change with any person, I think you need to involve the network around that person as much as possible. And that's why we think the school, this is not only about sports, it's equally important in school, or maybe more important, because every kid is going to the school. So if you have teachers, you have mentors in school maybe, or you have parents, you have coaches, and if they can have a common language around the teen, then it's more easy to make that behavior change and create that understanding and self-awareness amongst the teens. So I think it's absolutely necessary to help them to get that common language and understanding.
And I will chime in with a little less maybe of a scientific answer on this, but I think it's also with parents to think about am I adding pressure? Or am I helping them to look for solutions and see the development in what they're doing? I think, I gave a talk to a group of parents when I was in New York recently. And one of the first things I said after going through, how did we end up in this place? Where kids are and what's happening and what's changed. And the positive thing is there's a lot that we can do and we can help the kids with it. But one of the things we have to start with is looking in the mirror. What are we saying? And I know we're saying, performance oriented, look at development, trust the process, look at that. And it is hard when you live in a world that is deciding things. Kids are, resume stacking by the time they're in 6th grade. How do we help balance that? And it isn't easy, but I think it is also, small changes in how we talk to the kids and what we're asking for them at the dinner table. Instead of how was your day, it's like, what went well today? Little things that you can just try and help overcome your own negative preconceived notions that you have in your own head, and helping kids, because we have this negativity bias. How do we help to drive other kinds of conversations in the house and not just the nagging and the negative ones?
Well, and what you said earlier, Charlene, about that young woman who realized it's also about the process, not necessarily the result. That's a huge lesson for parents because, as you said, we're resume stacking and, your child is learning piano, not for the joy of music, but to get a scholarship or playing a sport, not to learn about teamwork and leadership, but to, get into a different school or a better school or whatever. And parents are very guilty about this. And I also read a thoughtful piece the other day about if you want to reduce your child's screen time, the best thing a parent can do is use less of it themselves. And it's amazing to me. I used to be outraged when I'd see little kids pull out phones at dinner, at a restaurant. And now it starts with the parents. And it's very easy to point the finger and nag your kids. But so I would think that parents are a key part of this. And then hopefully teachers can be a bridge, I suppose, when in the school setting between the students and the parents to bring them in and involve them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it becomes kind of, you can change the dynamics of the community in a way when you're starting to bring some of this language into the field and into the classroom.
I love our guest's notion of realistic optimism, as I believe a big challenge for all of us, perhaps particularly for people growing up, is an unrealistic sense that life will always be great, and if it's not, then something must be wrong with us. Playwell Minds encourages teenagers to stay in the present moment and value the process and hard work, not just the outcome, which is often out of their control. It's also helpful to get parents, teachers, and coaches on the same page and using the same language with the teens in their lives. Now to the final segment of my Blue Sky conversation with Charlene Engstrom and Johan Fallby. So are you at the point in this journey of yours that you have results that you can report or beyond anecdotal results? Are you showing that this is working as you now sort of sell this into other schools and teams and that sort of things? Where are you in that part of the process?
Yeah, at the moment we are in contact with a few universities to conduct proper research. So I think we have more something in between anecdotal evidence and the numbers we have gathered. But we have some testimonies from quite a few young people and also coaches and teachers that are very, very positive. We can say that, but we are looking we're looking forward to conduct some real proper research together with universities. So we're getting there, but in my opinion, working with this for 25 years, and we are really anxious to get numbers, of course, but it's really important to get real research numbers and publish some studies in scientific journals in the future. But when we're showing these numbers and anecdotal evidence for researchers, they are quite positive that it's going the right way, without saying too much, I think. But it's a really good question. It's really also really important. We are working with so important things and young people, so we are definitely not going to risk anything. On the contrary, we are very taking step by step and building step by step to make sure that we are on the right side of the evidence that we can get.
And I would also say the data that we do have very clearly is from the students themselves. So at the end of a program, they are kind of, responding to a survey. That's, I think now we're at 91% of students of I guess it's like 1,400 kids almost that have 91% have said that the overall experience of the program was very positive or positive. We have the numbers change because as programs finish, you get more kids in there all the time. But I think it's about 74, 75% that say it has had a positive or very positive impact on their mental attitude. And then we start to track, has it helped you to see more positive things in the everyday? Do you feel you have a better toolbox? And we see extremely positive numbers. So when we started the pilot last year, our thought was that we were going to learn a lot about, we said if we can get like 20, 25% of the kids that are saying that this is good, that's great. And then we're going to learn what else we have to do. But already then we were up in the 80 percentile that they were like, no, we love this. And, the whole notion of them learning about a growth mindset and that, they can keep learning and the power of yet. Yes, okay, you haven't accomplished that. It's not, no, I can't do that. It's that you can't do it yet. But let's see, what do you have to do to get to, to the next step of learning it? And it really, you can see a light bulb going on in a lot of these kids. Like why, and even the fact of, someone said, I know that, of course it makes sense that if I don't feel good mentally, I'm not going to be able to perform well. And it's going to affect a lot of things. But actually, no one's ever told me that. So just making these simple connections for kids gives them a lot of hope, actually. And this feeling of I can. And actually, just because I did have a bad season, just because I got injured, I'm not going to be destroyed for forever. I can work on a new plan and set a new kind of goal and then see what I can come back to.
Yeah, and back to people listening who have raised teenagers, anything that you can get 90% of teenagers to say was good, that's quite a feat.
But that's what I mean. These numbers are so encouraging and amazing. I've been working in 25 years within research and also in counseling, different networks or organizations and environments, and I've never seen numbers like this. And but you have to be cautious. We are still working, and we are working hard to really make a difference. And I think we're onto something, and we're getting there. And we have these anecdotal or lots of case evidence. So let's we are still building and love that.
We also have some kind of targets and ambition of what we hope to see. We hope to see kind of attendance in school increased, that there are less kids that are out for different things. We hope to see kids staying in sports longer. We've seen those numbers coming down, year after year. They're dropping out of sports earlier. How can we help, keep them in a little bit longer? So, we have these targets that we want to hit as soon as we have the research. And, it's going to take us a couple of years to see the impact of it.
So, Charlene, you mentioned 1,400 students. Are you exclusively in Europe now, in Sweden? You mentioned talking to parents in the United States. Where are you in this rollout? And if somebody's listening to this who thinks, gosh, I'd love to learn more about this or get my hands on this, where are you in that part of the business?
Yeah, we are in Sweden as our home market, but we have done our first pilots, and now we've moved from a pilot to a rollout in the US. So our first high school in New York, where we are, learning together with them. So we purposely wanted to start with one and, test it out and see how it works. So now we're ready to kind of go full on in the US. And we've also piloted it in France. actually. So first in English in France, but now starting in January, we will have a full French program running.
So in the U.S., we're recording this in December. Was that a fall? This school year is when you started this fall?
We did the first pilot in the spring of 25, and now we have started the rollout as of fall 25, and a commitment through this school year with the intention to continue.
And is the hope as you look farther into the future that as students use this through their teen years, are they then equipped in their early 20s with the tools they need, or do you see this as something that where Playwell will sort of evolve for older people as well, so they'll continue to have this online companion, or are you giving them life skills where eventually this just becomes second nature, what they're learning, and you've done your job when they were teenagers?
I could start with that, Johan, and then you can give. I think our goal is that we're giving them the fundamentals now, and that they're, our ambition is that they're building habits that will last. That said, those habits could, continue. I mean, the habits are to reflect on what are the positive things that happen on a day, to process a situation that has happened, to evaluate how well you've done on whatever it is that you were seeking. So these are things you're going to do throughout your life, and that these tools are relevant for you throughout your life, and that maybe you're not going to use the app for 5 years, and then you're going to run into a time where it's like, you know what? I think I actually want to actively process some of these things again and get myself going. So it's targeted, our voice and the way that we've structured everything, our tone of voice and the setup is really about teenagers. But we have a lot of adults that are like, oh my God, I need this and I love it. So it's not exclusive. It's just that's who we're actually going for.
Yeah, and the tools you get, they are usable, for your whole life. But the thing is, I mean, even if I sit here and now today, that I feel well and everything is going well, then things are changing and life is up and down, as you said before. So sometimes you encounter something and then you need a new tool or something, and then you can go back to the app or use the things you've learned before. And I think a lot of the effect is actually having people you can talk to. So if you get used to talk to people around you, and when you feel I have to reflect on this together with somebody else, then you actually can do that. I think that's the most important thing. But then again, I've been working with athletes for 10, 12 years, and I don't see them for 2 years maybe, but then they come back. This is a new situation. I need some new tools, and I did this before. It didn't work. What do you think? And then you come back, you work for a few months again, or maybe a year, and so on. So life goes up and down. So, but I think this app is you can use it no matter the age. I mean, if you're from 11, 12 and upwards, I think.
Well, I think the two of you are realistic optimists. You're taking on a daunting challenge to work with this age cohort, but it's really important what you're doing. And I think that it's always been hard to be a teenager. It was hard when we were all teenagers. I don't know that the challenges are that different, but they've been accelerated or exaggerated by technology, I think, and social media and isolation and those sorts of things. So I think the work you're doing is really admirable. If someone wants to find out more about this, is there a website you can send them to or resources they could access?
Absolutely. It's playwellminds.com. is our website. We also have a YouTube channel that we're just building now, which is for teen mental fitness. And there that's a little bit more for the parents and things. It's a lot of teen mental fitness talks, as we call them. So small snippets of advice for teens. For parents of teens.
Excellent. Well, check those out. And Charlene and Johan, I really appreciate everything you're doing and also your time. I know you're both very busy, so thanks for taking this time out to talk to our audience today and tell them more about Playwell Minds.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much, Bill. It was really fun.
Great.
Take care. While Playwell Minds waits for more research data on the impact of their work, the surveys they've done so far have yielded remarkable results. Positive feedback from such a high percentage of any age cohort, let alone teenagers, is amazing. And it's hard to doubt that this will be reinforced soon by their partners in higher education. I hope you enjoyed this blue sky conversation with Charlene Engstrom and Johan Fallby. Before you go, please leave us a rating and review. These help us make our shows better and also make it more likely that new listeners will find us. While you're at it, you might want to subscribe to Blue Sky wherever you get your podcasts. Sign up for the Blue Sky Weekend newsletter at theoptimisminstitute.com. And of course, follow us on social media. This and all Blue Sky episodes are made possible by the incredible editing and mixing done by the team at Sound On, Sound Off. You can learn more about their work at soundonsoundoff.com. And all graphic design and cover art for Blue Sky and the Optimism Institute are provided by Crush Graphics. That's Crush with a K if you'd like to check out more of their fantastic work at crushgraphics.com. Until next time, I'm the founder of the Optimism Institute and host of Blue Sky, Bill Burke, and I thank you for listening.